just a matter of weeks, hackers have infiltrated a major oil pipeline, a government email provider, and the world's largest meat producer. The hacks offer a dramatic warning about how quickly criminal hackers could send an entire economic sector into a tailspin. Joining us now to talk about it is Jamil Jaffer, Senior VP at IronNet Cybersecurity. Jamil, thanks for being with us. We've seen these hacks happen time and time again in a bunch of different industries, yet the government has been very slow to embrace cybersecurity mandates for companies. What do you think the government's role here should be?
Well, first, the government's got to help provide better defense to our private sector companies. In this case, we've seen a ransomware attack against JBS, the supplier that supplies almost 25% of the U.S.'s meat production, employs 66,000 workers here in the United States, 25,000 who were off of work yesterday because they proactively took their plants offline and brought them back online. Now, the thing about it is the U.S. government's got to bring industries together. They've got to get the meatpacking industry talking to other critical industries and communicating and sharing information. And the government's got to share information, too, to better defend these industries against threats coming from Russia and China, which is the fundamental problem. These are nation states oftentimes, sometimes criminal actors in these nation states operating with the tacit consent of their nation, as Douglas Holtz-Eakin correctly pointed out. We've got to be able to be tough against them, but also help our own companies defend better.
So, JBS, for instance, said that this attack most likely originated from a criminal group likely based in Russia. This now, of course, coming just ahead of President Biden's first meeting with Russia's President Vladimir Putin, to be a fly on the wall in that meeting, right? What should the messaging be there from President Biden?
He's got to be tough. He's got to tell Vladimir Putin that we're not going to stand for this anymore, right? We saw the SolarWinds hack by Russia's SVR unit against our government. Then we saw the Colonial Pipeline attack by a Russian-associated criminal group from Eastern Europe. Then we saw the recent USAID attack again by the SVR against now a U.S. government contractor going after our partners and customers in the larger community of USAID. And now today, this JBS attack again by a Russian organization probably operating with the knowledge of the Russian government. Douglas was right. This doesn't happen in Russia without the Russian government knowing. Oftentimes, these are nation state hackers who are doing this in their part-time on nights and weekends to make a little bit of money. And so the challenge is that President Biden's got to be tough with President Putin, say there is going to be a cost here, and we're going to defend our companies. Don't come after us. We'll punch you back.
Speaking of cost, we found out that Colonial Pipeline actually paid the ransom. I didn't think the U.S. negotiated with terrorists. I mean, should that be something that, our companies should be doing? Should they be paying ransoms to these hackers?
Yeah, it's a really tough question, Alexis, because the problem is these companies are in a very tough situation where their systems are down. They need to get them back up for their customers and for our economy. If that pipeline had been down for weeks so they didn't pay the hackers, what would we have done, right? Now, here's the other side of it, right? We've put our companies on the front lines of defending against nation states. That's an unsustainable conflict. They can't win. So companies have got to work with other companies. Industries have got to work with industries. And the government's got to do more working together. We've got to collectively defend the same way the Cyberspace Solarium Commission said in the report from March of last year. We've been talking about that for years. We haven't done it. Collective defense is the only way our companies will be able to stand up against Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea.
If you look, Jamil, at the common denominator among all of these hacks, is that they happened over the internet. Do you think that it just shines a light on the inherent flaws that the internet presents? I mean, when the internet was first came to be, we could have never thought that so many things and so much of our world would be dependent on that superhighway.
No, look, there are challenges here in this new world in which we live with all this communication activity that's taking place. That being said, the internet's been a tremendous boon to our economy, to our productivity, to our innovation. The idea of creating a walled-off internet, the way the Chinese have tried to do and the way the Iranians have tried to do, is not an effective methodology. First of all, it doesn't work. Second of all, to the extent it does work, it cuts you off from all the benefits that and look at our conversation now taking place on this online platform, right? I mean, this is one of the key challenges. We've got to figure out how to secure that. And that means working together, industries, government with government, and government with industry, and not trying to leave individuals on their own to do this. I think shutting the internet off or trying to wall it off is not a successful plan. I hear the sort of, concern about that, but I think there's more productivity and more economic benefits that come from having a wide open, productive internet than it does by walling it off.
What other sectors do you think could be on the hackers' hit list? I mean, they've certainly gone across. I mean, the water supplies, oil, software companies. Now the meat company. I mean, what other sector do you think is very vulnerable at the moment?
Well, Alexis, these hackers are smart, right? They're going to go after industries where they realize if the system stays down for a long time, it can have a catastrophic effect, right? So whether it's a pipeline and gas shortages, or meat production and meat shortages, right, or electric power, or healthcare, or finance, or the government, they're going after high value efforts because they know these people are more likely to pay than be down for a long period because their customers and the country is going to suffer. And so that's part of why we've got to make these nation states pay a price. That's part of why President Biden, when he sees President Putin in a couple of weeks, has got to be tough and say, look, enough is enough. It's coming from your country. You've got to take action to stop. And if you don't, we're going to start extracting costs from your nation.
Yeah, and I think you're right. We need to see more private-public partnership in the area of cybersecurity. Jamil Jaffer, Senior VP at IronNet Cybersecurity, thanks for being with us.